2017 at the World Championships. A bronze last time round in Berlin at the European Championships. And she was the athlete who was controversially not selected for the World Championships. And has regathered her focus. She said in the press conference that she was totally committed to performing in front of a home crowd. The Italian Saviva Giverny will go in lane 2. She's at a personal best this year. 7-time national champion for Italy over various events. Multi-eventers often picking up medals here, there and everywhere. Sophie Dotker of the Netherlands will go in lane 7. European junior silver medalist in Tallinn last year. Second German, Sophie Weissenberg. Going to get a big roar from the crowd. She was highlighted in the press conference as well as one of the athletes to watch. Silver medalist in the under-23 championships last year round. And like I said, we saw her in the call room, no marked in the long jump in the World Champs. She's got a few hours to go until that. Saga Vananen was the European Junior and World Junior champion. A great double. Jonathan Butonik of Israel did that double as well, but he really struggled in the high jump qualification last night, perhaps carrying an injury, and perhaps Saga Vananen can do a little bit better. Holly Mills will go in lane 4. She was just 7 points off a medal at the World Indoor Championships and then another 4th place at the Commonwealth Games. Let's see if we have some redemption for Holly Mills of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Completing the lineup in lane 5 is Emma Oosterwegel. Olympic Games bronze medal last year behind Nafi TM and Anouk Vetter, largely down to a brilliant javelin throw. She's coached by Ronald Vetter, Anouk Vetter's dad. As I said, Emma Oosterwegel, took a long time for her to smile when we were in Eugene. She looked full of tension. Perhaps Oosterwegel release some of that tension and can have a brilliant performance here in Munich instead. Holly Mills, the fastest this season with 13:41. Carolyn Schaefer in lane 8, the fastest on personal best, just a shade outside 13 seconds. So a good season's best from Ivana Dadic to win the first heat in 13.7. Each 1/10 of a second worth 15 points to these women. But a cruel high stakes technical event to start off the women's heptathlon.
Set.
Anyway, Holly Mills perhaps rising to that first hurdle first. Jade O'Dowda had a brilliant Commonwealth Games personal best in a couple of events, high jump and long jump, but here comes Emma Oosterwegel and Carolyn Schaefer, and Emma Oosterwegel clipped perhaps the 7th or 8th hurdle there, went down hard. See Emma Oosterwegel there lying on the track. Unfortunately, it is not going to be fairy tale end to the 2022 season for Emma Oosterwegel. Let's hope she's all right, she's not injured. You could see her teammate Sophie Dotker look over straight away. And in the end, Schaefer was a runaway victor, 13:39 and a season's best.
Well, I think you used the word cruel actually to describe the event before it got going. Oosterwegel, as we said, the Olympic bronze medalist last year, fantastic competition. That was for her, the way she came through on the second day, but not the way you want to see a heptathlon start. And understandably, pretty upset. Good to see the sportsmanship, as we always see the camaraderie among the multi-eventers, and Wiesenberg, the German, also comes over to console her.
Emma Oosterwegel, I do think the men start with 100 flat, don't they? I think that's a little bit kinder. I think starting with 100-metre hurdles, when you're full of nerves and anticipation. We've mentioned the early time in the morning, and Sophie Weissenberg, an athlete that knows what it's like to pick up no points in a discipline, doing that in the long jump out in Oregon. I doubt we're going to see Emma Oosterwegel in the next 6 events. It's devastating for the Dutch Olympic bronze medalist.
Absolutely, yes. Well, I suppose they're used to it, aren't they, starting off with the hurdles. For many of them, of the athletes here, it is a very strong event as well.
Penultimate hurdle there. Let's see if we can get a head-on look. I think she clipped her trail leg perhaps on this next hurdle here. Nope. That one she looked so good until now, and it was her knee. And you can see what that does to your momentum. When you're doing high hurdles, you don't want to clear them by too much. That's wasting energy. You want to be nice and close over the hurdles, and they do move a little bit. But Emma Oosterwegel hit that square on with her knee, totally took her momentum, much like Axel van Christensen in the men's steeplechase yesterday. And Emma Oosterwegel falling really hard. Schaefer looked really good there for me. She has had a summer of training getting ready for this versus some of these other women that would have had to take a break from training to go and compete in Oregon. Caroline Schaefer looking pretty good at the moment.
So the athletes coming out for heat number 3. You can see that Anouk Vetter coming through, Adriana Sulek towards the back. Sulek this year in Warsaw improved to 13:08. And very strong this year in Gutsis and then in Eugene, improving to a new overall national record for Poland of 6,672 points. A lot of big hitters in this. Nafi Thiam, of course, two-time Olympic champion, two-time world defending European champion, having also won European indoors. Anouk Vetter, world and Olympic silver medalist. 6,867 points for her in Eugene. So those hurdles just being put back up in a moment's time for those athletes to get their competition underway this morning. And Nafi Thiam, always such a joy to watch. We don't always know what form she's in, has had a few injury niggles over the years, and sometimes despite that, she's carried through and on, just like we so often see some of the decathletes do. So here is Adriana Sulek, who, as I said, brings the character to the competition sometimes. She does have a couple of weak events, particularly in the javelin, a bit more of a rudimentary technique, but someone who is really improving. And it's interesting how those who have been at the European under-20s and under-23s do really form most of the participants coming through towards the senior ranks. A lot of these have been competing as heptathletes for a while. Leonie Cambour of France. This is Annick Carlin of Switzerland. She was 6th at the World Championships in Eugene. 6,464 points. Of course, a lot of these athletes taking part in the specialist Gutsis hyper meeting. Familiar facing one another. Here's a very familiar face, Nafi Thiam of Belgium then. So just when you think there isn't too many improvements for her to make, 13:21 in Eugene to start her heptathlon and win yet another title. Xenia Krishan of Hungary, European indoor pentathlon bronze medalist. Potential medal contender if she can pull it all together. Of course, we've lost Emma Oosterwegel, so someone else has a chance of getting closer to that rostrum. Anouk Vetter having a terrific season. She remarked that after winning the European Championships in Amsterdam, she became a bit of a star in the Netherlands, and actually took a bit of time to get to grips with that, and the extra attention and pressure. It was around the time that Daphne Schippers, of course, also became a big star in the Dutch team. Norwitz. It seems harsh to call her the #2 Belgian, doesn't it? Because she's fairly consistent across all events, but we're kind of remarking yesterday with Dina Asher-Smith and Daryl Nita, sometimes the #2, maybe they can just do fewer media interviews and expend less energy at the major championships and get on with their competition. Well, there are times when Nafi Thiam wouldn't have been in the faster heat of the 3, the last one in the heptathlon, but she's here now, and I think that helps her. Not that she needs additional support, but being with the fastest woman can sometimes push you on to your best. Sometimes we've seen in the past, previous competitors like Jessica Ennis-Hill have relished the opportunity to get as much of a lead as possible in the first event over Thiam. Bit of a different story here. So Kambor, Thiam, Vetter, Witz, Krishan, Karlin and Sulek. So last heat of the heptathlon, and it looked like Sulek might have got away a bit early there. So obviously slightly different conditions in terms of false starts compared to the individual sprint events. Yellow cards traditionally given. So you're watching live coverage then. Day 3 of these European Athletics Senior Championships. And Hannah, yeah, you spotted Sulek there on the outside.
And they do get a whole false start for the field, in the field event. Okay, so Krishan awarded with sort of an illegal, for that 0.1 reaction time. That's what's allowed. Both Krishan and Sulek moved too early, so the whole field will get a red card. And then if anyone else false starts after this, then that's a disqualification. Perhaps the high stake issues of this event sort of neutralising that rule, leaving us a little bit where the rest of the individual events were a few years ago, because it's really, really high stakes. So perhaps some nerves from Adriana Sulek and Zina Krishan.
Yeah, I mean, even in the sprint events, we saw initially at one point a yellow card for moving so early that it was before the start, effectively. And then a false start. Arthur Arbole in the decathlon was reinstated and had to run a solo race just seconds after completing the discus, it seemed, and before starting the pole vault. So just waiting for what the officials are going to say.
Start in lane 6 and in lane 8.
So lanes 6 and lane 8, you can see there. Yellow card being shown, and indeed across that field. So athletes do look like they've got the sun in their eyes. Now refocusing and getting on with the job. Once again, Kambor, Thiam, Vetter, Witz, Krishan, Karlin and Sulek. The pole on the outside in lane 8. As we look down at Thiam from 3. Set. Decent start there for Kambor right on the inside. Now Thiam starting to come through. Karlin also going very well for Switzerland in the red. And now she's leading with Witz chasing her. Fantastic win there for Annick Karlin of Switzerland. So one of the young contenders gaining some experience at senior level and starting her heptathlon off fantastically well there. 13.23, that's worth 1,090 points to begin this heptathlon.
Well, it wasn't the quickest of starts by Annick Karlin, but once she got into her running, that was absolutely fabulous. And it was really tidy, clean hurdling, and she was moving so quickly between the barriers as well. She was up on Thiam, who was probably one of the faster starters on the inside. Of course, they were separated by several lanes. And then Karlin just got into her running in the second half of the race. Yeah, 13.23. Witz came through 13.29 for Norwitz. That's 1,081 points. As we see there, the start of the race again. Poor start from Sulek. Perhaps just wanting to make sure that she didn't actually catch the attention of the judges again. But Karlin, head-on shot. That's very, very classing hurdling indeed. She'd probably almost be worthy of a place on the Swiss team in the individual event with a time and an effort like that.
Karlin has set that Swiss national record already this season. And we saw some season's bests from Dadic and Schaefer in the opening 2 rounds. We didn't in this. It could be because these women have done a few more high-quality heptathlons this season, or it might be as a result of that false start. But both Krishan and Sulek are really sluggish out of the blocks. you said, Phil, perhaps nervous, kind of knowing they'd got it wrong in the previous heat. I'm surprised not to see any more seasons vest on the athletes, but like I say, a lot of them have been having a great season already.
Also, just noticing that they were running into a very slight breeze that would have actually helped them in some respects technically, although in the case of the women's hurdles, less so than the men. But it would have probably just ratcheted back the times just slightly. But nevertheless, Annie Kalin, fastest time of the 3 heats this morning.
So there is the full confirmed result. Kalin from Wits, Tiam, Vetter, and then Schaefer's performance, as you can see there from the earlier heat. And very, very close as a result. You've got the top 5 separated by 24 points in those overall standings.
And it will be a shame if we get to that final page to see Emma Oosterwegel not finishing the hurdles. Made it all the way to the penultimate hurdle before crashing last year. I don't think Emma Oosterwegel will take part anymore.
Yeah, those predictions, perhaps maybe you can read a little bit more into them than you can the decathlon. Maybe a bit more like to go to form. Tiam and Vetter, that would seem a sensible prediction. And Adriana Sulek predicted to get the bronze medal. We'll see what kind of form she's in off the back of an excellent performance in Eugene, and whether Krishan can pull things all together.
Well, of course, the next event is the high jump, and that is very much Nafi Tiem's speciality. She could be jumping well into the 190s, and I'm sure racking up the points there, we could see a big change around in at least the top order, top 3 or 4 women.